Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with a very impromptu video, but I felt that since this is, at least for me, breaking news, I was actually just watching just some guy's video about it. It's about Max Visaggio and her allegations of, I guess you would say, misconduct by Sean Gordon Murphy. So I wanted to go over the tweets that she made. There are several tweets. I'm going to read them and then I'll link to them in the description, and you guys can look at it for yourselves and come to your own conclusions. Now, I will tell you this much. I've read over them, and given that I do have experience with assisting in investigations, for those who are new, or for those who just don't know, in my professional life, I work in a college, and I work in the office of the college that, among many other things, we do a lot of things in the office where I work, but the office I work in is interesting enough, it's the diversity office, but um, it's the office where people will come and uh, give us complaints, right? If someone feels, for example, that they've been discriminated against for some reason, right? Or if they've been sexually assaulted or sexual misconduct, right? And sexual misconduct, at least in my line of work, is an umbrella term that can mean anything from, actual sexual assault, right, to someone just giving you elevator eyes, right? It's like the look down, then the look up, right? Or the classic, I hate to see her leave, but I love to watch her go, type of stuff, right? So it's an umbrella term for a huge variety of things, and we get a lot of different stuff, right, from various people, right, students, employees, and whatnot. It's confidential, so I won't be talking about individual cases, but I will be sharing my experience where necessary, because my experience working in this office, having done this for 10 years now, over 10 years as of this January, I think I have an understanding, at least from my work and my point of view, of how to evaluate a person's statements and a person's evidence. Sorry about that. I had to close the window. I wanted to keep the window open so I don't melt. But of course, somebody has to be playing music outside because apparently they forget they have neighbors. New York City for you. But anyway, I've read Max's tweets, and generally speaking, I try to not come to a conclusion either way when a person makes an allegation or a complaint, because you need to actually look into what the person says, right? Into what the allegation is. You have to, hear from the complainant. You have to hear from the accused. You have to get evidence, if any, from both of them. You have to get statements, right? You have to bring in people who maybe witnessed it or character witnesses. So many different types of things. So generally speaking, when I hear about things like these, I try not to come to a conclusion on the outset, just on one person's word. But given what Mags is saying here, I will admit, maybe I'm wrong, but I will admit I have a very hard time believing her account. So I'm going to read to you what she says, and then I'm going to explain why I have such a difficult time taking her seriously and believing in her sincerity here. Again, there's always room for error, but this is just how I see it, and I'm evaluating it as is, right? So here's Mags's tweets, right? So she says here, she starts off with, uh, it actually starts a little before. So I'm going to read the whole thing. So she writes, I'm back. Last week was an absolutely crushing experience that finally taught me what it means to navigate the world as a woman. For those who may not know, Max Visaggio is trans, so I think her experience as a woman is going to be quite different than, say, mine. But to each their own, right? But she says here, I finally understand, I finally internalized, I apologize. She says, I finally internalized stuff I knew intellectually, re the danger men, qua? I don't know what she means. Men represent to women qua women. I have no idea what she means by that. I'm guessing it's just the danger men represent to women. Okay, I would say that people in general are dangerous to other people. Depends on the person you meet. I can say that as a woman, since she's going to talk about navigating the world as a woman, I, as a woman, don't particularly feel threatened by men in general. I've met plenty of good men. I know plenty of good men. I've also met some jerks, and I can say the same of women, right? I don't generally live in fear of either sex. I just hope that I'm not encountering a bad person if I'm meeting someone new. Most of the people I've encountered, be they male, female, American, not American, trans, or anything else, have been generally good, decent people. That's all I can say. But anyway, Max continues. The onslaught of seeing over and over and over men I know and respect named as abusers by women I know and respect, including friends of mine on both sides, the abuse equation really knocked me over. But what broke me was realizing the same playbook had been used on me. Now, here's where she gets to her specific statements about Sean Gordon Murphy, right? She says here, I don't want to get into a whole thing about what happened between me and Sean Murphy. I've covered this already elsewhere and it's draining to recount. But while I need to categorically state that he never touched me, reading the accounts of others felt uncomfortably similar, right? So she's saying, well, here's what infuriates me about this particular tweet, first of all. And here's why I question her sincerity in all this. She starts out saying, and I'm going to read it again. So I'm not misquoting her or anything. This is literally what she wrote. I don't want to get into a whole thing about what happened between me and Sean Murphy. Yet she's posting this online. If there's one thing I have learned from making videos and from writing comments in videos and making posts, whether it be on Facebook or whether just making a video and editing it and all that, is that if there's one thing you have, it is time. You have time to consider what you're saying. You have time to think. You have time, especially if you're writing. Maybe not so much if you're recording a video off the cuff like I do, but especially if you're writing, you have to sit there and you have to type and you have to think about what you say and you have to go back and change what you're saying or fix the sentence structure or add things or take things out or or fix misspelled words or whatever it is. You have to work on a comment. You have to work on anything you have to write. A post, a tweet, a YouTube comment, whatever it is. It is not instantaneous. It's not like a thought appears in your brain and then 5 seconds later it's on the screen in the form of some sort of post on some sort of social media. You must sit and you must think about this. You must sit and you must think about how you're presenting yourself, how you're presenting your argument, and how that might be received and viewed by other people. So, knowing all this, having had all this experience, I find it really damn difficult to believe Max, honestly. Like I said, I try, generally speaking, to not come to a conclusion before you get all the facts, but I have to admit, maybe I'm wrong, but I find it really damn difficult to believe that she doesn't want to get into a whole thing about what happened between her and Sean Murphy when she intentionally makes a vague tweet that she has to know damn good and well is going to create interest and intrigue. People, be they for her or against her, are going to want to know what happened. On top of that, she writes here, and again, I'm staring right at this. I'm going to link it so you guys can see it. She says, I've covered that already elsewhere. It's draining to recount. She provides no link. She provides nowhere to find this supposed already elsewhere where she's documented this. Yet, we're supposed to just take it on faith, right, that she doesn't want to go through the trouble of rehashing her argument. Honey, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian, but I'm not taking a word you say on faith. You are not worth, you have not earned me taking a damn word you say on faith. But anyway, continuing, she says, I am not looking for comfort and sympathy. So please, no internet hugs or advice. I just want to talk about what happened to me this weekend. Again, Sean never touched me, nor intimidated, nor imitated that he might do so. I am not accusing him of assault, but he did hook me and use me. Well, honey, you're accusing him of something, and something pretty damning, if you're willing to talk online despite saying that you don't want to get into a whole thing about it. So you're immediately contradicting yourself, and like I just said, I don't believe you. When you contradict yourself and your intentions this badly, barely 5 tweets in, I really, really, really have a hard time believing what you say. Right, but she does assert, and if I were Sean Gordon Murphy, I would look up her Twitter right now and screenshot all this in case you need receipts or in case you need to take legal action. That's what I would do if I were him. If he were here with me right now, that's the advice I would give him. As somebody who was once a paralegal major, screenshot everything. You never know when you might have to sue someone. But anyway, she does say here that Sean never touched me or imitated that he might do so, and that she's not accusing him of assault. Document that, Sean. Document that. You might need it soon. But anyway, she says here, everything from the unfulfilled promises of future professional and financial assistance to love bombing, all in the service of making sure I defend him when he did problematic, let's say, crap. Textbook stuff I've spent days thinking over and talking about with other women he did it to. Okay, well, here's the thing. You don't give the names of the other women, which maybe I can understand if you were protecting them, but you don't give actual examples of what he did. Again, this is just incredibly vague. Unfulfilled promises of future professional and financial assistance. Why does Sean need to provide you with financial assistance? Why does he need to provide you with future professional opportunities? I get it, comics is close knit and everybody knows each other, but where is there a guarantee that he was going to provide you with further professional and financial assistance? Why were you expecting such a thing? You don't say that he, you don't quote him and say, he said, hey, Max, I will help you do A, B, and C, or I will give you A, B, and C. You are being, Max Visaggio, you are being incredibly vague, and the more vague you are, the less I believe what you say. When they talk about love bombing. For those who don't know, love bombing is something that narcissists, generally speaking, tend to do to earn a person's affection. It's basically when they shower you in love and affection and praise, right? In an attempt to basically have you so hooked on love, as it were, that you overlook or you forgive their more abusive behaviors. Here's the problem, though. She has not described an abusive behavior. If I were to take Mag seriously, which, as I've said before, I really don't, at best, what she has described very vaguely are broken promises. Broken promises are not abuse. What scared me more than anything, what scared me more than anything Sean did was how easily he did it to me. I wanted some of his shine, and he validated me during a period of intense career anxiety. I was not smarter than anyone else. I was not smart enough to see it. So what you're describing here, if I were to believe you, and I don't, but what you're saying here is that you got played. That's it. That's what it sounds like to me. That you're acknowledging that you got played, that you were, I guess, it's in some sort of vulnerable place or perhaps desperate for work or something. Again, I'm not too sure, but it's she herself saying that how easily Sean Gordon Murphy manipulated her. And she even says, I wanted some of his shine. So what? You wanted some of his clout, some of his shine, so you allowed yourself to fall for whatever promises that you vaguely claim that he broke? Honey, there's an old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This isn't, let's say this is true and he did break some sort of promise and he sort of, played her for a fool when she was in a very vulnerable place in her life, maybe desperate for work or whatever. That would make Sean a not good person, but that would not make Sean a criminal. It would just mean that as a professional, he's shady, which is not uncommon in comic books. Comic books has always been a cutthroat business. You can look into the history of Stan Lee, Bob Kane, and numerous others who have been accused of stealing this character, stealing that character, taking credit where credit wasn't due, and all this other stuff. It's a cutthroat business, right? Because you are dealing with things like money and contracts and creator rights and all this other stuff. So, honey, if you got played, which is what it sounds like here, then I don't have much sympathy for you. As the saying goes, don't hate the player, hate the game, or learn how to play the game. Again, and I want to be clear, I don't believe her. We'll have to see what statement Sean makes, if any, right? But I don't believe Max. This entire tweet story that she's telling, I don't buy one bit. But let's say, for the sake of argument, it's true and he played her for a fool. That's on Mags, not Sean Gordon Murphy. And more importantly, playing somebody for a fool is not a crime. Nor is it something that you try to ruin a person's career for by starting baseless rumors and accusations online. And then it says here, here's the second one. So let's take the focus off of Sean because that's not what matters here. You spend what, the past 4 or 5 tweets talking about Sean and how he supposedly played you for a fool, but then you want to say that's not what matters, so let's stop talking about him. Honey, please, no, stop. You stop. You're the one who needs to stop. Anyway, she continues, it's the fear that someone else could do the same or worse to me, and that I might never realize what's happening until it's happened. Well, again, the fear of what? You haven't actually said what happened other than he broke promises. You're going to encounter people professionally and non-professionally who are going to break promises. If you can't handle the fact that people are going to break your heart and people are going to try to play you for a fool and people are going to break promises to you, you may need a refresher course on life. Over and over in conversation with other women whose names she doesn't give, also dealing with the latest wave of exposures, there was a simple lesson. You need to protect yourself, and you do so by assuming that every man you deal with is a potential abuser. Here's where you're right, Max. You do need to learn to protect yourself. Every person does. Here's where you're wrong, Max. You do so by assuming every man you deal with is a potential abuser. No, Max. That's exactly where you go wrong. You do need to protect yourself, yes. And I do believe that especially if you're in a cutthroat business like comics, you definitely need to come in with a certain cynicism, right? And do not easily believe what people say. But you have absolutely no right, you of all people, considering your origins as a human being, you have absolutely no right to say that you protect yourself by assuming that every man you deal with is a potential abuser. Let's spin this around. Let's say it was Sean Gordon Murphy making this tweet, right? So let's take out Mags's name and picture. Let's put Sean, and let's say Sean wrote this. Let's say Sean wrote over and over in conversation with other men, also dealing with the latest wave of exposures. There's a simple lesson. You need to protect yourself, and you do so by assuming every trans woman you deal with is a potential abuser. I doubt you would like that, Mags. I doubt you would like that. You would find it quite insulting. And you would rightly argue that, hey, not every trans woman is a predator. And not every trans woman is going to lie to you or play you for a fool or try to make you look like the big bad when you're not. Do you want other trans women, Mags, to be judged on your actions? Do you want people like me or other types of people to automatically assume that every trans person, or at least every trans woman, is Mags Visaggio? Should I take my dislike and disdain of you and just indiscriminately spread it to every trans woman I encounter? Because that's what you're gonna cause. That's what's gonna happen. Now I'm not gonna do that because I don't believe in that type of thing. I refuse to judge an entire group of people on the individual acts of a few. I'm not going to judge all trans people by your standard or by how I feel about you because that wouldn't be fair. Because trans women are people, and I judge people by how they behave and what they say and what they do. And I'm well aware that people, be they male, female, trans, or anything else, can be really good and can be really bad. And most people are somewhere in between. But you know damn good and well, Mags, you know damned good and well that if anybody took your statement and said, oh, I feel this way, that you can't trust or that you need to protect yourself against trans women, against every trans woman, and assuming every trans woman you deal with is a potential abuser, you wouldn't like that one damn bit. So how about you display a little humanity and not judge all men by what you claim and yet have yet to prove or even give a hint of proof about Sean Gordon Murphy doing to you. Try that. Try being a good person and giving other people the chance to prove individually whether they are good, bad, or somewhere in between. That's what I needed time to process over crying Jag after crying Jag. The ground shifted beneath me. I do not live in the world I thought I did, where I can give the dudes, where I can give dudes the benefit of the doubt in advance. Nope. You gotta earn it now. Again, Mags. I understand. My apologies. Real life calls at times. As I was saying, now I have to go over this stupid tweet again. Let me go over it again because I lost my place now. Anyway, it says, that's what I needed time to process over crying Jag after crying Jag. The ground shifted beneath me. I do not live in a world I thought I did where I can give dudes the benefit of the doubt in advance. Nope. Y'all gotta earn it now. Okay, now I remember where I was. As I was saying, she's right to not give people the benefit of the doubt, especially working in a cutthroat business. I'll give her that. But as I said before with the other one, she has absolutely no right, in my opinion, to be sexist, in my opinion, and judge other men by how she claims and yet cannot prove, claims Sean Gordon Murphy treated her, which at best he made her some promises about professional and financial assistance and then didn't keep them. Promises, promises. But you have absolutely no right to talk about, now I can't give dudes the benefit of the doubt in advance. But what about biological women, Max? What about other trans women? Or what about trans men? What, do you think that these other three types of people are just so above board and they're angelic and they're put on pedestals and they could never, ever, ever play you or lie to you or break a promise to you or play you for a fool? Do you really think that it's only men who are devils and every other type of let's say biological male, right? Right, that every other person who is not a biological male, a standard, regular biological male, that every other type of person, a woman, trans men, trans women, whatever, non-binary, whatever the various terms of gender expression are these days, they come up faster than I can keep up with them, to be honest. Do you really think that no other type of person could ever lie to you or hurt you or manipulate you or use you or anything else? You really think that? Because if you really think that, then I have a lot of bridges, because New York City is a city of bridges. I got a lot of bridges to sell you. People are people. You are being sexist by making this about men. Men aren't the problem. Shady people are the problem. I think you making vague and, from what I can tell, at least by these tweets, baseless claims that you refuse to follow up or back up in any way, I think you are part of the problem. But no, men aren't the problem. Trans women aren't the problem. People who like to stir crap up and try to get others in trouble for no reason than they feel they've been hurt or they've been offended or that something that was owed to them that wasn't given to them. People like you, Max. Individuals like you, Max. You are the problem. You are part of the cancel culture that lives in the comic book industry and permeates online. You're the problem. And unless you can actually prove what you say, I will continue to say and continue to believe that you are the problem. We live in a country of innocent until proven guilty. You, Mags, are the one who has made the accusation against Sean Gordon Murphy. So unless you give me something different, I'm going to believe he's innocent, and you need to put up or shut up. It says here, that's it. I'm better now, much better now that I've had time for that brute fact to settle in my heart. Excelsior. You little... How dare you use the word Excelsior? That is Stan Lee. That is Marvel Comics. You, of all people, have absolutely no right to use such a term. You are the very antithesis of everything Stan believed in, because he believed in the goodness of people, and you, at the moment at least, are exuding everything but that. So how dare you? How dare you use that word? I'm better now, much better. What? That you got the rumor mill going? Is that it? That you got a rumor mill going? You happy now? You happy that you put baseless accusations against a fellow creator out there while there are real predators in your midst? Where the hell were you and the rest of the comic book industry when, what's his face, Eric Escavez? Guy did Border Town? Why weren't y'all trying to stop him from getting Border Town? Please. Unless you can prove what you say, you are nothing but a fraud. You were never a good creator, but now, Max, I'm starting to think you're an even worse person. But anyway, let me take this off my screen before I start swearing. Anyway, that's the video. That's all I really have to say. It's been near 30 minutes, and then that's way too long to spend on Max Visaggio. So anyhow, I will catch you all on the next one. Hopefully be a little bit calmer and with better lighting. But I'll see y'all around. Bye.